Hello, my name is Dr. Carl Candlepot, and this is the orientation film for the Lost series of videos here on this channel. The channel was originally designed as a resource where Lost fans could come to understand the unique mysteries and ideas emanating from the 6 seasons of the show. Not long after the series began, however, there was a spoiler. And since that time, the following protocol has been observed. At the start of every video, a spoiler warning must be issued. Utmost importance. But once the warning is shown, if you have not seen through the indicated episode, you exit the channel in a timely fashion. Namaste, and good luck.
Hello everyone. So today is an exciting day because I have officially been making these videos for a year now. I uploaded my intro video on March 17th, 2020, and my first theory and explanation video went up on the 25th. In celebration of this, I wanted to announce that I'm going to start releasing a sub-series of videos that are basically going to serve as follow-ups to some of my previous Getting Lost entries. My intention is to release each follow-up video exactly 1 year after the original video was posted, with the main goal of addressing various questions, points, and counterpoints that many of you have brought up in the comment sections of these videos. Quite often, you guys contribute perspectives that are well worth addressing, that I then wish I could go back and put into the existing video. Since I can't do that, I figured this sub-series would be the next best thing. I plan for these videos to be more casual, less scripted, and therefore easier to make, which means these follow-up videos will be released in addition to the regularly scheduled new Getting Lost videos. And they will not detract from me continuing to make at least one of these a month. As I said before, my very first theory and explanation video, which was my vaccines and quarantines one, came out on March 25th of last year. So the plan is to have the follow-up video for that come out on March 25th of this year. So look out for that around then. Today's video, though, is aimed at answering a wide variety of questions in one, hopefully, satisfying explanation. These questions include: after the Purge, why did the off-island members of the Dharma Initiative, headquartered in Ann Arbor, not try to reclaim the island? Why does Ben use Saeed as his assassin instead of any number of triggermen we see in his employ? Where did Middleos Bioscience or Middleos Laboratories get its resources? Did Widmore know about the lamppost station? And if so, why did he not use that to return to the island? How and why were the employees of the Guam facility still being paid to load the food pallets onto the drones? Why does Ben say that he can't kill Widmore? What are the changed rules that Ben refers to? These are many of the questions I intend to address today. Before diving in, though, I have to give a big shout out and thank you to the 2 new Patreon supporters for March. The first is Gage Ackley, to whom I have assigned the candidate number 77. The second is username Petephooey, who has requested the candidate number 8 in honor of Island Protector Hugo Hurley Reyes. Thank you both again. Your support truly means a lot. To everyone else, you can also support this channel as Patreon donors for as little as $1. Or you can support it for free by simply liking, subscribing, and/or sharing this video. If you know other Lost fans that might enjoy this channel, please do share it with them. And as always, if you have any thoughts about this video, be it questions or alternate theories, or if you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like to see a video on, please do comment those things below. But for now, let's get lost.
Have you come here to kill me, Benjamin?
We both know I can't do that.
Then why are you here?
I'm here, Charles, because you murdered my daughter. I'm here, Charles, to tell you that I'm going to kill your daughter. And once she's gone, once she's dead, then you'll understand how I feel. And you'll wish you hadn't changed the rules.
The closing scene of the Season 4 episode, The Shape of Things to Come, features one of the most memorable confrontations from the entire series. In the span of about 3 minutes, we get a strong sense of the dynamic and history between these two characters. But we are also left with a few tantalizing questions. Perhaps chief among them, why does Ben say that he can't kill Widmore? To answer this fully, I feel we must first review why it is these characters are at odds in the first place, and how their dynamic became what it is in that scene. If you have not already seen this channel's previous episodes, The Supreme Test and A Rock-Solid Foundation, I recommend you watch those first, as this video will be building off of the conclusions reached in those installments. Ben and Widmore first meet in 1977, after Ben is brought to the temple by Richard to be healed.
I don't want to go back. I want to stay. I want to be one of you.
Just because you're living with them doesn't mean you can't be one of us.
Who are you?
I'm Charles. Charles Widmore.
Very shortly after this first meeting, Eloise leaves the island and names Widmore as the new leader of the Hostiles. Around this same time, we can surmise from their initial interaction, and what we know of Ben's role in the Purge, that Ben was then sent by Widmore back to the Dharma community as a spy. The next interaction we see take place between these two is around 1988, when Ben returns to camp with baby Alex. This moment is crucial because it shows us Ben challenging and defying Widmore's leadership in front of the others.
I'm sorry. Is that a baby? Your orders were to exterminate that woman.
Why, she's no threat to us. She's insane, Charles. Besides, you didn't tell me she had a child. What was it I was supposed to do?
Kill it.
It's not an it. This is a child. Is killing this baby what Jacob wants? And here she is. You do it.
This moment actually parallels a similar predicament that Ben faces near the end of his time as leader.
There I was, shaking hands with Jack, and thinking I'd give almost anything to come up with a way to stop him from leaving, because to let him go would be a sign of weakness, of failure, of defeat. People would see that. They would know it. And that, John, would be the end of me. But to kill him, that would be cheating. Because my people also heard me make a promise, and to break my word, that would be the end of me, too.
By refusing to kill a baby on Charles's orders, and by offering him the chance to do it himself, Ben has put Widmore in a very similar lose-lose situation. He either murders a baby in front of his people, undoubtedly losing much of their support, or he walks away, having allowed Ben to publicly undermine his authority. He goes with the second option, minimizing the damage somewhat. But as we can see by Richard's reaction to this exchange, Ben is already proving an inspiring figure to potentially replace Charles. And indeed, around 1993, the next time we see the pair together, Ben is saying farewell to a banished Widmore.
Came to say goodbye.
No, you didn't. You came to collect.
No, don't act as if I wanted this. You brought this on yourself.
I'll be seeing you, boy.
Our knowledge of the next 12 years is a bit vague, but there are some things we know for sure. We know that Widmore appeared to be searching for the island during this time. We know that he sponsored the sailing race around the world that resulted in Desmond's arrival on the island. And we also know that he was somehow connected to the balloon that brought the real Henry Gale to the island. We can further surmise that one of these arrivals even concerned Ben enough to move the island. We can safely assume Ben moved the island previously based on his familiarity with the frozen donkey wheel chamber and that he knew to bring a parka and a crowbar. As well as his apparently legitimate claim that he has arrived in Tunisia before.
Is this your first time in Tunisia?
No, but it's been a while.
Your name?
I'm actually a preferred guest. It should be under Dean Moriarty.
Certainly, Mr. Moriarty.
It is also likely that this photograph showing Ben off island, which Widmore has Miles supplied with, was taken during this time. Ultimately, we know it is not until after Desmond turns the failsafe and briefly makes the island visible to the outside world that Charles successfully sends a freighter full of people to the island with the primary objective of capturing Ben alive and extracting him. But if Widmore was looking so hard for the island all of these years, why doesn't he use the lamppost station? He seems to know of the station's existence based on the fact that he sent Desmond there in Season 5.
Where's Faraday's mother?
She's in Los Angeles. This is an address for her.
What are you doing here? I assume the same thing you are. You're looking for Faraday's mother too?
Perhaps he didn't know about it until later, or perhaps he wasn't aware of its exact function. That's certainly possible, but then why not target Middleos Labs, the front company Richard uses to recruit people to the island? We know this company existed in some form at least as early as 1973, when Richard tries to use it to recruit a 16-year-old Locke.
I got a call from Portland recently. There's a company up there doing some very exciting things in chemistry and new technologies. They're called Middleos Laboratories. I spoke with a Dr. Alpert. He's very interested in finding young, bright minds to enter in these new fields of science. They want you to go to their camp this summer.
So it stands to reason that Widmore would be fully aware of the Mittelos company, and if he wanted to, could have used that knowledge to force his way back to the island. So why doesn't he? Let's go back to 1992. We know that under Widmore's leadership, tension between Dharma and the hostiles escalated until ultimately he ordered the purge.
Is that why you killed all these people too?
I didn't kill them.
Well, the others didn't wipe out the Dharma Initiative.
They did wipe them out, Hugo. But it wasn't my decision.
Whose was it?
Their leaders.
I thought you were the leader.
Not always.
I am aware there is some debate on whether the purge occurred in December of 1992 or December of 1987. Getting Lost number 13 will be out tomorrow and will serve as an offshoot of today's topic. Then, demonstrating why I have concluded that the purge occurred in 1992 will be the goal of episode number 14. That video will be out sometime in April. We also know that Ben was not the only Dharma member to switch sides prior to this purge.
I can do it if you want me to, Ben.
Shut up and stay here, Ethan.
They couldn't even coexist with the island's original inhabitants. When it became clear that one side had to go, one side had to be purged, I did what I had to do. I was one of the people that was smart enough to make sure that I didn't end up in that ditch.
In fact, this purge would only have been possible with the help of several Dharma defectors. We know the main method used by the hostiles to kill the Dharma workers was the release of the gas generated by the Tempest station.
The two people you're looking for, Faraday and Lewis, they're headed to the Tempest. And if they figure out how to deploy that gas, then everyone on this island is going to die.
Whatever he's doing, tell him to stop. We're trying to disable it before he can use it against us! Julia, look me in the eye and tell me you are certain that Benjamin Linus wouldn't use this gas to kill everyone on this island! We know he's used it before.
Which means at least one Dharma worker intimately familiar with the Tempest operations had to have been complicit in the purge. What this suggests to me is that Ben's role from 1977 to 1992 was not merely as a spy. I think he was also a recruiter. I think over those 15 years, Ben found and built relationships with other Dharma members that were growing disillusioned by the damage the initiative was doing to the island and its indigenous population. I think he inspired them to turn away from the destructive leadership of people such as Stuart Rudzinski and Horace Goodspeed. Just as we already noted, he inspired several of the others to turn away from the destructive leadership of Charles Widmore. In both communities, Ben would have accrued followers that were eager to discard their current conflict-escalating leaders. So when the time finally came that Widmore ordered Dharma's destruction, I believe Ben's infiltration had grown so extensive that the purge occurred at the off-island facilities as well, at their headquarters in Ann Arbor and the Lamppost Station in LA. This is actually alluded to in the Mysteries of the Universe segment.
We have a report on the church originally investigated in this program. This past Christmas, several staff members have mysteriously disappeared. They were reported missing but never found.
It mentions that several of the church employees went missing around last Christmas, never to be found. And we know the purge occurred on Ben's birthday, December 19th, which is less than a week before Christmas. The segment then mentions a new manager was appointed, named Eloise Hawking, and goes on to speculate that some other group has taken over Dharma and its resources.
Public records show that the newly appointed general manager of the church is named Eloise Hawking. However, she has refused several requests for an interview. Has another organization secretly taken over the Dharma Initiative?
This, of course, explains how the men in Guam continued getting paid to load the pallets for another 18 years. The resources of Dharma had merely been taken over by Ben's people, and in the barracks they clearly continued to benefit from the food drops. Anyways, it is at this point, after eliminating the Dharma Initiative and absorbing its resources, that Ben and his fellow defectors joined forces with what natives were unhappy with Widmore's actions and removed him from power, along with those that remained loyal to him. The group that remained was not the Dharma Initiative, nor was it the Hostiles. Instead, it was an amalgamation of the two, something new, something other. And this group of others was tired of conflict and ready to put the horrors of war behind them. But simply exiling Charles and his loyalists would not have been enough to guarantee an end to hostilities, not with Widmore's own vast resources off-island. In August of 1973, Dharma and the Hostiles had reached a fragile truce. And for the next 4 years, the two groups coexisted on the island in relative peace. However, after Eloise's departure in 1977, at which point Charles took over, and Dharma's repeated violation of the terms of the truce, that peace gradually deteriorated until the events of the Purge. I believe after Ben usurped Widmore as leader, he recognized the need for a new truce to avoid any further bloodshed. So before sending Charles away, I believe Ben had him brought to the Flame Station, where he then made contact with Alvar Hanso, the last living member of what had been Dharma's leadership. I imagine Ben communicated what had transpired on and off the island, and that it had been done on Widmore's orders. I think Ben then assured Alvar that Charles was being banished for ordering this atrocity, and that as his replacement, Ben wanted to ensure there would be no further loss of life. As established in this channel's A Rock Solid Foundation video, I believe Alvar Hanso was not only the man that financed Dharma via the Hanso Foundation, but had also been the leader of the island natives prior to Eloise. Also discussed in that video, I believe he was co-founder of the company that eventually became Widmore Industries. Furthermore, as an earlier leader of the natives, I believe it is very likely Alvar Hanso is the one that originally funded and set up Middleos Labs as an off-island resource for Richard and the others. What this all essentially means is that the financial backing of all three sides, Hanso, Widmore, and Linus, were all intimately intertwined. Because of this, and the aforementioned desire to avoid further bloodshed, I believe Ben successfully negotiated a new truce between all three sides. A truce that made killing each other and targeting their resources strictly off limits. As for the lamppost station, the facility that could lead Widmore back to the island, and indeed had been built by Alvar to lead him back to it once already, I think the agreement was to place a neutral party in charge of it as a gatekeeper of sorts. Eloise Hawking, the one former leader that was never banished from the island, and the one person that had up and down relationships with both of the exiled leaders, was the perfect choice. This truce not only answers why Ben says he can't kill Widmore, it also explains why Ben used Saeed as his assassin to take out Widmore's associates. As we see over the course of the series, Ben has several anonymous, off-island triggermen in his employ.
Wait here.
Put this right in your IV line.
Any or all of which he could have used to assassinate Widmore's associates, instead of manipulating Saeed into doing it. That is, unless doing so would have violated a long-standing agreement and instigated an all-out war he was unlikely to win. However, by using Saeed, a world-famous survivor with his own negative history with Widmore, and who is so wealthy and personally invested that Ben never needs to put him on his payroll, Ben has plausible deniability. The very first soldier of Widmore's that Saeed kills is the one being paid to follow him. Shortly thereafter, Widmore's other associates start dropping like flies. This would have seemingly suggested Saeed had discovered that Widmore, whose mercenaries had previously tried to kill him and his friends, was now having him followed, and that Saeed decided to respond by going on a killing spree. This is a story Widmore likely saw right through, but still needed to disprove. In order for Charles to show Ben had violated this truce, and thus get Hanso's backing to find and eliminate him, he needed proof that Ben was the one ordering these hits. I think this is why Elsa asked Saeed,
Do you have a boss?
Everyone has a boss, Elsa.
and why she and her boss so desperately wanted to interrogate Saeed and get him to give up information on his boss. They wanted him to confirm Ben put him up to it.
No more secrets. What do you want to know?
He's here. My boss.
You have to leave Berlin.
What do you mean? Why would I?
People will be asking questions soon about what happened to your employer.
You gonna kill him?
His name is on a list.
A list? What list? You have a list?
It's my employer's.
And who is that?
It doesn't matter who he is.
Na, was machst du denn? Du sollst mich doch um 10:30 Uhr anbieten, nicht um 10. Nein, ich habe ihn nicht umgebracht. Er wird nichts sagen. Warum sollte ich ihn am Leben lassen?
Alas, Saeed escapes, returning to Ben.
She wanted to know who I worked for. She wanted to know about you.
Of course she did.
And when Saeed says his cover is blown, Ben is actually pleased.
I have another name for you.
But they know I'm after them. Good.
Now that Widmore and his people know for certain the person targeting them is the famous Saeed Jarrah, with no known or provable allegiance to Ben, and a motive all his own, Ben's plausible deniability is in full effect. In other words, good for Ben indeed. One of the many things I find cool about this idea is how it recontextualizes the exchange in Widmore's bedroom between him and Ben. Ben's comment about Iraq and Widmore's reaction to it seems much more like Ben taunting Charles. It's his way of confirming without confessing that he's responsible for the death of Widmore's man.
I see you've been getting more sun.
Iraq is lovely this time of year.
He wants him to know it was him, but gives him no evidence to use. Another thing worth noting is that Ben uses Saeed as a loophole against Widmore, almost exactly the way the Man in Black would later use him as a loophole against Jacob. Now we've come full circle back to the conversation in Widmore's bedroom. The conversation in which Ben tells Charles he'll be sorry he changed the rules. So what are these rules exactly? Let's review the full context, starting with going back to earlier in this same episode when Ben says essentially the same line. Ben sits by the window, utterly shocked that Kimi has just killed his daughter. He says,
"He changed the rules."
Personally, I think people take this too literally. I think this happens in part because of Ben's comment later about not being able to kill Charles. People naturally assume this is because of the exact same rules he's referring to. But within the actual context of the events, I think it's fairly obvious Ben is simply referring to a basic idea of the rules of engagement. The agreement between Ben, Alvar, and Charles likely didn't bother to outright state killing uninvolved loved ones was off limits too. Yet Ben likely believed this was a given. In war, let alone a time of truce, you typically don't kill innocent civilians. It's generally against the rules. So when Widmore's paid mercenary murders his teenage daughter, Ben is obviously distraught, before saying he changed the rules. What he does next is particularly telling, in my opinion. He summons the smoke monster.
He changed the rules.
What? Who? What rules? No, I'm right. Our best chance here is to toss him out and fend for ourselves. Hey! Where you going? Open this damn door! Open up!
Now Ben and his companions have been facing a brutal assault and siege by the mercenaries for almost the entire episode. Ben could have summoned the monster at any time prior to Alex's death, but he doesn't. I've previously speculated that the summoning chamber is concealed specifically to prevent its use. The fact that Ben does not immediately use it certainly seems to support that hypothesis. Yet, once Alex is killed and Ben declares that the rules of engagement have been changed, he runs right for the chamber. And when he leaves the island, he vows to start playing by Widmore's rules, where killing loved ones is treated as fair play.
I'm here, Charles, to tell you that I'm going to kill your daughter. And once she's gone, once she's dead, then you'll understand how I feel. And you'll wish you hadn't changed the rules.
That'll cover it for today's video. As I was writing the script for this one, I ended up going on a considerable tangent regarding why Saeed is so easily manipulated into killing for Ben, and whether or not Widmore truly had Nadia killed. I quickly realized most of that wasn't vital to the overall topic of this entry, and decided to separate it into its own shorter video. So look out for that one tomorrow. Until then, namaste and good luck.
Oh, hello there. If you're like me, you can't get enough of Lost. So if you'd like to be notified when more videos like this one arrive, just click right up here to subscribe. In the meantime, if you'd like to check out other videos like this one, just click right up here. Or, if you'd like to check out a fun talk show filmed in an abandoned Dharma broadcast station, just click right over here. And as always, remember that this channel is like the island. It wants you to come back.